Shanghai World Equestrian Games 2006 were hosted by Germany, watched across the globe. The breathtaking Aachen showground became the theatre of equestrian dreams for 2 weeks, as more than 800 competitors from 60 nations fought it out for 16 gold medals and the title of world champion. More than 500,000 spectators witnessed the largest extravaganza of equestrian sport ever seen.
Great honour to declare the 5th FEI World Equestrian Games, Aachen 2006, open.
Welcome to the highlights of the four-in-hand carriage driving, 4 days of spectacular horsemanship and drama. The action throughout the first week has given us plenty to enjoy, but the weather here in Aachen hasn't been too kind. Day one of the driving though, and things are looking glorious for the dressage.
Driving competition is based on 3 competitions. Competition A, which is today, which is dressage. Competition B, which is the marathon. And then C, which is the cones driving in an arena. What we're trying to find out, the judges are trying to find out, is how well the horses are trained. Suppleness, pace, freedom, regularity. And at the same time, they're also judging the condition of the harness, the condition of the horses, the carriage, and the general whole turnout, how it looks.
First for us in the dressage is Christoph Sandmann from Germany. He'll be looking to add individual gold to his collection of World Championship medals. A solid start from him and a score of 46.59 has put him well in contention. The USA's Tucker Johnson helped the American team to silver in Jerez, but can he do the same here in Aachen? A smooth performance gives him 43.26. The Belgian team certainly in form and one of the favourites for the team title here. Felix Brasseur is also carrying the weight of individual expectation. And this performance will keep him well in the fight for medals, an impressive score of 41.86. On form and with the experience to take on the best, IJsbrand Chardon from the Netherlands knows what it's like to be crowned world champion, and you wouldn't bet against him with a dressage score of 41.22.
IJsbrand Chardon für die Niederlande, for the Netherlands.
Here's one of the most flamboyant characters in four-in-hand driving, Hungary's Zoltán Lazár with his beautiful grey Lipizzanas. But he's got some ground to make up after the dressage, 53.38. He'll be disappointed with that. Another one of the hot favourites, America's Chester Webber. A great record in the States. Will this be his year for individual glory at the World Championships, though? Well, joining me now to watch the action is 4 times British national champion and Australian international carriage driver Boyd Excel. Boyd, expecting great things from Chester here?
Yeah, Chester, thanks Emma, has been on great form all summer. He's put a lot of preparation into his dressage, competing in Riesenberg and Big Bergen, equally with very good dressage performances.
These horses real dressage specialists.
Yeah, it takes years to bring the horses on. Chester's running one new wheeler in the team, but he has a very good temperament and a very steady attitude to his job. But the other 3 horses have competed in the last 3 World Championships over a period of 6 years. So they're really starting to know their job and can handle the pressure of a World Championship.
Beautifully balanced and very much in sync, these horses, aren't they?
There's a lot going on in this team. The leaders in the team are really doing the mental work and trying to show off their presence. The wheelers are having to do the physical work of pulling on the arena. This arena's obviously had the sand put down on it due to the torrential rain that they've had, so that's making the course quite heavy to pull.
How difficult is it? I mean, obviously we see your traditional dressage where the horses have to be very balanced and cadenced. How much harder is it for the horses to achieve that same level of balance when they're pulling a carriage?
It really takes, for a true team to work at a high competition level, the general rule is it takes 4 years to produce a national high standard team and 5 years to produce an international team where you can really rely on them to actually know their job, be confident, and show some flamboyance. Chester's leader, the left leader, is called Rolex, and he really draws your eyes to his team. He's a very elegant horse. He shows off his front legs, and the just slightly bigger horses in the wheel of the team actually set the whole picture off very pleasing.
Yes, the whole presentation and Chester and his team's turnout is just fantastic, isn't it?
There's a lot of planning going on there as well. I mean, Chester works closely with Friedman harness. That's a set of specially designed harness. He tries to make it so the horses are free in their shoulders and the harness is very light on the backs, letting them concentrate on the job. And here Chester's having to execute a one-handed circle. There's 2 of these movements in the test at a collected trot, and then he has to return back to the corner of the arena in extended trot, also completely with one hand. So his hand out to the side is just showing the judges that he's in complete control.
Generally seems very accurate. He's slightly over the centre line there at the end of that circle, but largely he's very accurate around this arena.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ring craft that goes on. Chester drove slightly to the side of X, but I think actually X is becoming quite heavy, and this is one of the later tests of over a 2-day period, and so the arena's getting a little bit chopped up in places, so it doesn't show so much, but the horses will be feeling it. So he's been clever there with his driving. This movement here is actually requiring an 8-second immobility from the horses. Just a little bit of a fidget there, so the judges would be taking 1 or 2 marks off, but the horses were basically very obedient. They then do a half circle into a rein-back, and again they'll be looking for a rein-back of 3 metres with no resistance from the horses, and ideally the carriage would be tracking back in a straight line. Then the move off again has to be very smooth with no resistance, and that was a good exhibition of a nice rein-back. Another movement that the judges asked to see is the wall. Chester's really relaxed there. He's let the horses have their heads completely and stretch down and unwind. And if there's any tension showing in the horses or any horses suffering from the atmosphere, you can obviously hear the music in the background, and it would be showing now, but Chester's horses are completely relaxed there. Again, I think it looks like he's just trying to avoid that heavy mud there in the middle. Judges would be sort of slightly more lenient due to the conditions.
How much does the atmosphere of a big event like this take its toll on the horses?
So it shows up with some drivers more than others. Some drivers actually can carry the horses in the dressage phase, but at some stage over the 3 days between dressage, cross-country, and then the cone driving, it will show up the lack of experience of the horses. Some countries that are competing like their drivers to have an individually very good phase. If they're a very strong cross-country driver, their other 2 drivers representing that country are very strong in dressage, they'll be sending that team member to try and improve their score. Again, this is one of the final extensions shown. It's a dogleg extension, and the horses are asked to do a series of corners, case they show any imbalance of the grooms have to work very hard. You can see the cleanliness of the carriage is immaculate, and the horses have a fantastic summer coat. And it is in September, so the weather is starting to change, so they've had to work hard to get the horses looking this good.
And he's very pleased with that test. And he's come out with a mark of 38.78.
For the United States of America. Für die Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika.
That's certainly going to put him into the lead at the moment. Will he stay there? Now, in his last ever international competition, the crowd's favourite Michael Freund for Germany. Can he do enough to take the lead from Chester Webber? Not quite. Unfortunately for Mr. Freund and the German crowd, he gets a mark of 41.6, which puts him into third place. So at the end of the dressage phase, these are the current standings. Chester Webber out in front for the USA. Icebrand, Chardon, Michael Freund and Felix Brasseur all very close, second, third and fourth. Now on to day 2 and the very different challenge of the driving marathon. President of the FEI, Her Royal Highness Princess Haya of Jordan, was among the spectators. This is the equivalent of eventing's cross-country phase, set in 80 hectares of the Aachen countryside. The course is 17 kilometres long, with 8 obstacles, including 2 water complexes. A real test of stamina. Well, first we take a look at obstacle number 1, which is the FEI WEG 2006 fence. Now, what do you make of this, Boyd, as the opening obstacle of this course?
Yeah, this is a very testing first obstacle. I mean, the slope's very deceiving here on the camera. It's much more aggressive in real life. Wolfgang Assendorf, a German course builder, obviously really wants to sort out who has the experienced teams and can cope with the either technical difficult obstacles or the more flowing fast obstacles. As you saw there, Chester just clipped a post. His inside wheeler wasn't quite strong enough to hold the carriage off the hill. There's a little bit of harness that's come undone there, brushing on the post. You can see it flailing about. So that's going to make life a little bit difficult now. Chester's only going to be, one horse will be able to pull the carriage, the left wheeler. But the rules say he must complete the whole competition with the equipment completely attached. So he'll probably have to stop directly after this obstacle and repair his equipment.
When it happens that early on in an obstacle, is it worth getting those penalties for putting the groom down to sort that kind of problem out?
No, well, he's well within his rights now to stop, repair the equipment and receive no penalties. If he stopped inside the obstacle, he would receive 10 penalties for a groom down. And that often happens at World Championships. Grooms have to help their drivers inside the obstacle.
Christoph Sandmann at the start now for Germany. Fence 2 is the Sunflowers obstacle, inspired by Vincent van Gogh. And through here is America's Chester Webber. Now this one looks like a real maze. How on earth do you memorise these routes and make sure you get through the right gates at the right time?
Yeah, it is a challenge for the drivers. They have one little bit of help in this phase. The navigator standing behind Chester there is helping him with his directions. Generally the drivers actually know the course on their own. It's only when things go slightly pear-shaped and the drivers need to rely on the navigator to help them get out of trouble. But they've spent 2 to 3 days from the Wednesday of arriving at the competition memorising this course, finding the most direct, quick ways. Some drivers actually take a more direct line than others. Some choose to keep the speed and go a flowing route. But that's the challenge of the sport, to know what your limitations are.
And Chester here, of course, one of the pathfinders, so he won't have been able to learn from previous rounds.
That's right. I mean, Chester's either elected to go early in the morning, maybe the temperature or the conditions would change, and that's another factor in the choice.
Christoph Sandman at the first obstacle, and you can see he's visibly much faster than Chester Webber was through here.
Yeah, he's just such a confident marathon driver, Christoph. He's got a great eye. His business is a Sandman transport company, and so he's very familiar with machines and equipment, and he has just a great eye for manoeuvring 4 horses through a small gap.
And you can see there just how steep that slope is. The drivers must be very relieved that there hasn't been any rain today.
Yeah, I mean, it looks the flags are just lightly blowing in the background, and it looks like at the moment just a perfect temperature. A little bit of sunshine, but cool breeze to keep the horses cool.
So fence 3 is the first of the water complexes, the seaside resort, and that bridge built in just a couple of days after the eventing cross-country had taken place.
Yeah, I mean, that really tests the horse's confidence. Look at the height there. I mean, Chester's horses have galloped straight onto the bridge without any hesitation.
Quite energy sapping, I would imagine, because of course this isn't the only phase they'll have been through today.
No, they've had to do a series of kilometres. Team driving sport has been based off the eventing, where you have a roads and track section, generally about 8 or 9 kilometres. We have a minimum and maximum time to do that 8 kilometres at maybe 32 to 34 minutes, 2-minute window to manage the time. They then do a section B, which is a walk section. It's a kilometre walk to let the horses rest a little bit. Following that, the horses do a vet check, and if they pass their vet check and all the horses are healthy, fit, and are able to carry on, the judge gives them the clearance to go on. And then finding these series of 8 obstacles spaced 500 to 700 metres apart. So that again tests the fitness and stamina of the horses. You can see the horses just picking their legs up a little bit higher because the water just creates that bit of resistance and does take out more of their energy.
Well, the crowd certainly appreciating this display as Chester Webber finishes obstacle 3. Josef Dobrowitz for Hungary now at the first obstacle.
Wow, Joseph was very aggressive in that turn. He took the tightest line possible. That was a little bit of a brave, tight route. He was lucky to come out of that. Again, he's taken another tight route. And the carriage just slewing on a post there. Oh, but the carriage slewing on that post has forced a mistake later on. But obedient horses, and he's done a rein back on a slope. And he's been very lucky there.
Recovered well there, and he's through the first obstacle. Obstacle 4 now, and this is based, this design, on the Roman arches of Aachen's cathedral. You might remember this as well from the eventing cross-country course.
The clock there on the sides actually showing how long is it going to be in the obstacle. That's a different section to his section E. The longer he's in this obstacle, whether he's taking a tight or flowing route, the more penalty points he'll receive. So the quickest time through the obstacle is the winning score. Very tight obstacle, this one. Chester having to double back on himself. Looks like a driver's maze. You have to be really familiar with where you're going in here.
generally this course does seem to be a lot more flowing than, say, the championships back in Jerez in 2002, where it was very stop-start.
Yeah, it just really depends on how ambitious the driver is, if he's overfaced himself or everything's gone as he's planned. You see Christoph's carriage giving every post, you know, lots of clearance. He's very confident in his horse's accuracy. Again, he doesn't want to go too deep into the water here because he needs to be back up that bridge, keeping his momentum. Really test the horse's stamina. If the front two horses help pull up the bridge, or do they leave it to the back two horses?
Back to the Sunflowers now, and Josef Dobrowitz.
Just as a Hungarian marathon specialist, and these two leaders work very well together. If you look, they're both thinking and just waiting for the message from the driver to either turn left or right at the end. Really working well as a pair. Yeah, they just went through there like a snake.
Gert Schrijvers down at the start for Belgium with his very striking team of black horses.
And these horses are actually Arab cross Frisians, and it's a team bred especially for the driving, relying on the Arab for the endurance and stamina, and hoping that the Frisian will add the beautiful paces and temperament, you know, requiring for our for the dressage phase.
Arabs, of course, can be a little sharp. Would he have some trouble with them, maybe? Fence 5 now, and we're on to the Mikado pickup sticks, you might remember from your childhood.
What's deceiving about this obstacle, as you can see, Chester just hesitated on a bank there, and it's on a plateau, this obstacle, and really those sort of undulations actually can sometimes confuse the horses. Normally horses want to scrabble sort of to the high point of the bank, and whether the course designers ask them to turn on a slope often causes mayhem.
So this one just looks like a mass of poles, doesn't it? I mean, how easy is it to see your route through there and for the horses to trust you?
Yeah, I mean that's where the years of training comes into play. The leaders must just be patient and wait for the driver's signal. The wheelers are doing the physical side of it, and also are responsible for the carriage clearing the posts. So you need sensitive wheelers. Just a little bit of a steering issue there. Chester again. Chester luckily has a great dressage score, so he'll be relying on that to sort of keep him in play of the top 10.
One of his leaders getting very hot under the collar, quite literally there.
Yeah, that can either be that the horse is quite excited about the job, or just taking the job a little bit too personally and getting working very hard.
IJsbrand Chardon for the Netherlands now. He's in second place after the dressage with his team of Dutch warmbloods. He's at the start of the marathon phase.
IJsbrand's got one horse in the wheel of the team there with the white blaze called Ferdy, and he literally saves this horse just for the World Championships. It does 2 competitions a year, and it's always in his final team. You see there is just a big pull up the hill.
It must be so important in carriage driving to have a huge team of horses to pick from, because horses can go wrong so often, can't they?
That's right. I mean, a World Championship is about having 5 horses staying equally trained and sound for the whole weekend, as well as a team of 6 people, and everybody must work well as a team for that weekend.
Good start there for IJsbrand Chardon. Christoph Sandman now at the Aachen Arches.
Just see Christoph not wasting much space outside the obstacle. He's taking the tighter routes. The horses are just needing a little bit more encouragement from the voice now, but is still covering ground.
Einen Fehler gab es bei Chester Webber. Eine Kette ab 10 Strafsekunden dazu, 91,6.
One of the wheelers just hopping inside part of the obstacle there, really helping him out along the way.
That's experience for you.
And very quickly through there. Josef Dombrovets now at the seaside resort. Big cheer, the crowd really loving this showpiece of a bridge. Gert Schrijvers for Belgium is at the Sunflowers. Fence 2 on the course.
Gert's just so reliable over the whole weekend. He does a nice little dressage, a confident marathon. It's not their strongest phase this for these horses, but at the end of the weekend, Gert's always in the top 10 or 12 positions.
Seems to be very quickly through here. Very quick, very confident, very relaxed. George Bowman, now the veteran British driver. He's competed at every World Driving Championship since 1972. He's got 4 silvers and 1 bronze in his individual medal cabinet, and a gold and 5 bronzes for team results. So he'll be looking to add to that little collection.
George has been very close to winning gold medals on a couple of occasions. Unfortunately, one time a groom actually put one foot down on the floor. The backstep man, the rules change now and it requires both feet to be on the ground to actually receive penalties. But it was just one of those weekends for him, but many times a crowd favourite.
And it's a great sport really, because age is no barrier really.
Yeah, it just goes to show. I mean, George's love is dressage, but he's still really driving quite a confident marathon here.
So down at the start we have Zoltan Lazar for Hungary. He's of course competed in many world championships with pairs driving, only his second for the 4 in hand. Now to fence number 6, the Dry Landerech, or the Crossroads. Let's see how Chester Webber copes with this one. Now the gaps in this fence in particular seem very narrow. Just how much width have you got between your wheels and the fences?
The course designers have to design within the rules, and the minimum gap they're allowed to have is 2.5 metres. Some of these gaps they're driving at are looking like a 3 metre wide gap, but then that really depends on how the driver negotiates the gap, because if he drives them in a bleak manner, then obviously it becomes much narrower. But these carriages are incredible. This is a Van den Heuvel design from Holland. It's one of the sort of favourite carriages that many drivers drive, and every 2 years a new sort of design comes out on them. They've got delayed steering, which means that the carriage just follows a slightly wider track when it's on a corner, as now, as you see there. It has 4-wheel disc brakes. It has, you can see Chester's seats built in the middle, yet around him his navigator, when required, can really lean out. Many carriages that have air suspension and also independent axles.
Karen Bassett at the Sunflowers now for Great Britain. She's 48th after a very disappointing performance in the dressage.
Yeah, Karen will be disappointed, looking to improve on her dressage score. This is one of her better phases. She's a very experienced competitor, been driving since she was 8 years old with a pony team and then progressing into horse teams. Driving just quite smoothly here and negotiating a tight obstacle. These are big horses. That was very neatly done. You can see her rein handling. She's trying to stay ahead of the horses.
And one of her team is an amazing 23 years old.
That's right, the left leader there, Rue, I think he's retiring after this World Championship, has pretty much been with her at every World Championship that she's competed at. Well, as you can see, Karen's got a tail over the rein there. This is within the rules now. The groom can get off, but the carriage must be stationary. Doesn't incur penalties, just a little loss of time.
Zoltan Lazar now on his way to the first obstacle of this marathon course. The WEG 2006, standing of course for the World Equestrian Games.
Zoltan's horses are Lipizzana's here, and they're a smaller team, very nippy, very quick. But really it depends on how much power he has left after the 8 obstacles. The first group of obstacles he's quite fast, and depending on what course has been set will be how much energy he's got left.
It must be a tough call to make. Do you go for the smaller team that can get you around tighter corners, or the bigger team that maybe has a little more power to cope with the distances?
I think really at the end of the day you have to oh, that's an uncharacteristic mistake there. He split his leaders on a rail. But wow, he's been able to rein back. The slope, I think, worked in his favour there, and the horses have been reunited.
And this fence very kind, because they don't tend to get stuck on that too easily, do they?
No.
And he's away from the first obstacle. Christoph Sandman now at the Mikado and coming down that bank. Just see the horses slipping a little there.
Yeah, Christoph's being very careful on the slope there not to make a mistake of going too fast and turning the carriage over. His score would be required for the German team. He knows his marathon is always needed.
Now we've seen nearly every fence on the course now. Is this one that obviously you should have been in Aachen? Would you like to have been taking this on?
I would have loved to. Unfortunately, I was involved in an accident with a quad bike and a carriage. As I'm sure if I had the horses and the carriage it would have been fine, but breaking my leg has just been very unlucky. It's killing me to watch it and not be involved. Werner Ulrich was another driver that was unable to make it. He was really on form this season and had a operation on his back 2 weeks prior to the World Championship, and really he could have been on the top 5 positions at the end of the weekend.
Well, we wish you both a very speedy recovery. Well, we're back with Karen Bassett now for Great Britain at the Seaside Resort. Her horse is looking very fit and happy and relaxed there.
Yeah, Karen's horses are Trachinas. She's driven this team for quite a while. She adds a different horse each year or every second year, keeping the team young. And as we said earlier, the only one that just overshot the turn there and having to do a circle. Generally costs about 8 seconds, so she'll be a little bit cross with herself for that.
No penalties, of course, unlike in the cross-country event for the eventing, where if you turn a circle you get penalties for turning back.
No, just the time that at this level you can afford a couple of mistakes like that. Oh, and she's got something going on now. As you can see, the wheeler of the team has put his leg over the leader trace in that tight turn. Now she's aware of it, and there's the finish line there at the foot of the bridge. And again, she's allowed to put 1 or 2 grooms down, it doesn't matter. They need to drop the trace off the leaders and lift the wheeler's leg over.
You can see the horse is struggling really to get up that bridge with that problem with the harness there.
That's right, I mean Karen's been very lucky here, because if this had have happened inside the obstacle she would have received 10 penalties, and that would have really put her out of contention, but she's gone over the finish line, so again now it's only a matter of her catching up her a little bit of time on the course, which won't be difficult for her.
Fence 7 now, our first sight of this, the Arabian Oasis, towards the end of the course now, number 7 of 8 fences.
You can see that the obstacles are very well built. All the corners of the boxes and boats built here on the land have got lovely soft round edges for the horses. If anything did brush against it, they wouldn't be injured by a sharp edge. The sand there at the moment looks quite good and compact, but I'm sure by the end of the day, Chester's one of the earlier runners. It'll be a lot deeper, and that's one of the privileges of going early in the draw.
Seems a little kinder for them towards the end of the course. They're not quite so many sharp turns.
No, that's right. Yeah, that was a nice flowing water obstacle.
Gert Schrijvers for Belgium now, up over the bridge of the seaside resort.
Again, one more experienced leader went on the bridge and the less experienced one hesitated, but that's teamwork where they encourage each other to go forward.
Heading straight for the bridge there, but the horses obeying their orders and going round to the right. Seems very slow through here.
Yeah, I mean that little comment you made about the horses going up the bridge actually had a bit of a knock-on effect, because they then turned them away from the bridge. They probably had their minds on going up it. They were very obedient to come off it, but then they had a little bit of oversteer in the next two corners thereafter. All that does is stall the boat speed of the whole team. Again, the breed showing their obedience, where unfortunately Karen Bassett overshot that turn. This team were just very happy and polite and came in for him. So, you know, it can be sometimes the hare and the tortoise.
In der arabischen Wüste unterwegs, bei der Oase im Dubai Equestrian Cup Complex, beim vorletzten Hindernis, dem Hindernis Nummer 7.
Gert Schrijvers there wearing the leather seatbelt. Is that something all the drivers favour?
No, I mean that's a personal preference. It's a safety issue really. I mean you can see his navigator got the end of the leather belt under his right hand on the bar. Really there for if the driver unfortunately clips a post and gets a bit of a jolt. And when they're holding the reins, they can't hold themselves in the seat and they rely on the seatbelt to pull them back in.
Well, the crowds here absolutely loving this marathon course. The seaside resort, certainly one of the favourites for the spectators with that dramatic bridge. Tucker Johnson for the USA now at obstacle number 6, the Dreiländereck.
Tucker will be looking for a finishing performance on this marathon. Unfortunately, earlier in the season, at Breda and Riesenbeck, the cross-country phase didn't go well for him. He had to retire on at Breda and didn't have a good result at Riesenbeck. But Tucker's got quick hands, and just his horses are a new team. Got great dressage paces, but aren't quite experienced enough on the cross-country for him yet. Just a more experienced team there would help him. Tucker took the turn nice and early to give them plenty of warning, but they just mistook that communication as to turn inside the rails, and it took them a second to realise that he actually wanted them on the other side.
How much can your confidence be dented by bad cross-country runs?
Tucker's a very experienced competitor, and generally he can have some absolutely fantastic obstacles on a competition, and then when things are rolling his way he can be very competitive on this phase. But he'll be thinking about his team position and scores, and that he actually needs to complete for his score to be able to count.
Big cheer from the crowd there to welcome IJsbrand Chardon to the seaside resort. Amazing shots there that really give you an idea of the pace that they're coming down that bridge at.
And you see IJsbrand's rein handling there. The top reins actually steering the two horses at the front, and the lower set of leather reins are actually steering the wheelers of the team. See, as he comes around this corner, he'll be taking one loop, two loops. He's now hitting the front two horses on. He'd like them to go faster than they're going. Another loop there on the left hand. It's deceiving with these big horses, the ground that they cover. They don't look as fast as other teams, but he wastes no space there with his carriage. And the team just keeps trotting, and his times become very competitive.
And of course, second after dressage, that'll put him in a very good position at the end of the marathon if he can keep this kind of performance up.
See again. IJsbrand doesn't want his carriage to go too deep into the water obstacle. The front two horses really helping the back two there gallop up the bridge, keeping the momentum over the top, and that was quick over the bridge.
Michael Freund for Germany down at the start for the last international marathon course he's ever going to drive. Gert Schrijvers for Belgium now at obstacle number 5, the Mikado. Now one of the points in here actually points downwards almost. When you look at it, you think it's going to be at the level of the driver's head, but it's actually quite a lot higher. Is that just in there as a bit of a driver frightener, do you think?
That's right. I mean, it's another thing to negotiate. Often low tree branches are another thing to look ahead, but you're so busy concentrating on the horses. You can see the horses have just gone through that slalom there like it's a straight line. Gert will just be looking now for which of his next turns he must take, trying to keep his momentum and speed carrying.
It's looking to be getting a little slippy on those banks now, which will be tough for the later drivers.
Again, he's turning back tight on the slope there. That's where his grooms need to be relied on, because you can see they just had the weight to their inside, and if Gert climbed up a post, you see Jeff, his navigator there, sitting on the inside corner again now. If there was an acceleration from the team that they weren't prepared for, the carriage would easily turn over.
George Bowman, now the very familiar figure at the seaside resort.
George is driving a new team of horses he's been bringing on since the last World Equestrian Games in Jerez 4 years ago. They're just starting to show their true performance. These are Dutch harness horses.
Certainly seem to be enjoying their job there with their ears very much pricked forwards.
Yeah, George's horses always show flamboyant in the dressage. I mean, he likes to either do very well in the dressage, or he's taken an inside route there. Other drivers went outside those two bollards, but he slid through there very nicely. George comes from Penrith, in the northern parts of the UK.
And driving them on to get up that bridge. On to the final obstacle now, fence number 8, the Eiffel Village.
The layout of this obstacle actually is quite convenient for drivers, because we often in training have obstacles built with a very similar layout. Square corners, 90-degree turns, 180-degree turns, and you do have a good feeling of what your horses are capable of at home. It's when you drive unforeseen angles that you haven't tried, or there's a slope on there, that it makes it more difficult to guarantee the speed that you should be driving at. can see that the wheelers of the team are taking a different track to the leaders because they're critically responsible for the carriage.
Chester Weber, of course, in the lead at the end of the dressage, but he's been fairly slow in this marathon course.
Yeah, just he lost a little bit of momentum there, and I mean, he made a turn there. The outside leader nearly came out through the archway. He's pushing on to the finish, and he was lucky that leader jumped inside, but then the knock-on effect was for 3 or 4 seconds afterwards he lost momentum.
Coaster on now for the Netherlands at the Seaside Resort, 21st after the dressage phase.
Oh, we saw Coase take a very direct route. He took D on the right rein there, took the same inside line as George Bowman, but it'd be interesting to see his time to whether that paid off for that route. Coase is a renowned marathon driver. He's often very fast in the top 3 on the marathon. A little bit slow over the top of the bridge there, but quite a competitive time.
Carlo Mascaroni now at the first obstacle on the cross-country course. The Italian driver 40th after the dressage phase. He'll be looking to improve on that.
Carlos is a real character from Italy. Always renowned to be one of the last people on the dance floor in the evening parties, as well as a confident pair and team driver at the World Championships. He competed in the World Pairs in Salzburg last year, and now obviously competing again in Aachen with the team.
Certainly looking very elegant through here so far.
He'll be looking just to complete without an error of course, and without having the horses stuck on a post for any longer than necessary. But a great character in the sport.
Spoke too soon.
This is what we're looking for. Now let's see how Carlos gets himself out of this. He can put his grooms down there, but obviously that will incur 10 penalties. He's chosen to work out his own pickle. Where he's lucky is that Wolfgang Assendorf, the course designer, has done a brilliant job of building the obstacles, and where the posts meet the rails there's normally a 2-inch higher ledge. The rails are slightly below, but because it's a flush finish on top, horses were able to back and untangle themselves. Very much to the driver's advantage. We saw that earlier with Zoltan Lazar, and now with Carlos.
Chester Weber now at the finish of the marathon phase.
It was a little tough. I used a horse today in the right wheel that I haven't been using all season. One of my horses after yesterday was a little sore, and so we decided to change it around a little bit, do the right horseman thing, and I think we made the best of it we could. And I made a mistake myself in the water, an extra loop there. Had some sort of sticky situations, but got through it all. All the times were fine. So the right wheeler, his trace came loose. I think I brushed against a post, and the quick release snap came undone. So that's one of the hilliest hazards in our sport, and then driving it basically with one horse in the wheel was challenging, but we made it through.
Michael Freund for Germany now. Third after the dressage, he's at the second fence on the course, the Sunflowers. Very vocal through there, and the crowd matching him in volume. Icebrand Chardon at the fifth fence on the course, the Mikado, just creeping down the bank in the middle there.
Again, look at his carriage on the inside track there. The other drivers were a lot wider than Eisbrand. That's just saving seconds, critical seconds. That's another Van den Heuvel carriage there, and I know on the back wheels he's got actually grooved grip. He doesn't want the back of the carriage sliding sideways too much because that just causes resistance and again slows the forward momentum down. He'd prefer that carriage to be staying in a straight line following the front wheels. Eisbrand now doing a very tight turn on the side of the slope. Again, careful, but yeah, very nicely done.
A couple of his horses just looking a little agitated there. Is that not knowing where they're going or maybe resenting being told?
Well, it's really how tight the obstacle was, and Eisbrand is such a competitive driver. He wants to make the turns.
Christoph Sammann for Germany just cruising over the finish line there. He must be very pleased with his time around the course. Back at the start, we've got Felix Marie Brasseur for Belgium.
Felix is such a purist driver. He's very quiet around the course. The horses are very well trained and listen to his commands. These are a Lusitano type of horse, originally bred for bullfighting, but he's chosen to put them into carriage driving. A lot of the quick thinking and quick turning there, left to right, was effortless for those horses.
They ooze presence as well, don't they, the Lusitano horses? Very smoothly through there.
Acceleration at the end.
And talking of acceleration, here's Michael Freund coming up over the bridge of the Seaside Resort.
Michael's renowned to be very fast over the start-finish line. He likes to make up valuable time there where others will tread in more cautiously.
Just see one of the wheels locking there. How much do brakes play a part in driving these kind of courses?
Yeah, I mean, the drivers want to use the brakes where they don't want the carriage to overrun the corner like there. Needs to take the racing line. Other times when it comes down the bridge, it's, again, a critical part of keeping the driver's reins in contact with the horses' mouths. If the carriage catches up to the horses, then they lose steering. Again, he uses brakes there not to get too deep. He's taking the more flowing line to the finish. Probably use the brakes at the final turn going into the water because he doesn't want the carriage to run deep again. He'll want it to turn tightly.
And he seems to be very quickly through this one.
Yeah, the horses have got a lot of running there.
Through there in 71.57, and you think Karen Bassett was through there in 90 seconds. Benjamin Ayot now for France, the first fence on the course.
Benjamin's courses usually tend to a more flowing, fast route. He likes to keep the horses moving and not waste time. It's a team of Lipizzanas. I think that he's in his second season competing with them. A very young driver. Quite flowing over the top of the hill and didn't waste any time coming through the chicane. Getting his confidence as he's going through this first hazard. This is where the back steps will be critical as he accelerates now. You see their weight forward. Nicely done.
Sultan Lazar now at fence number 5, the Mikado.
Sultan's done a very technical left to right turn there. Went very smoothly for him. And leader helping him out there, just ducking inside the wide A. This is where the grooms have to be on the side again for the acceleration.
Backstepper really earning his money at that fence there. Felix Brasser for Belgium now, coming up to obstacle number 3, the Seaside Resort.
Meanwhile, Felix Brasser of Belgium over the bridge into the Rolex complex.
Felix has his set up a little bit different to the others. His leader horses are a little bit further in distance away from the horses, the wheelers. Maybe another 6 inches on the other drivers, just a personal preference. I think with his horses' movement, they've got a very high knee action. They prefer to have more distance away.
No doubt there'll be times when that's an advantage and times when it's a disadvantage.
Yeah, again, he's turned that corner very smoothly. The acceleration, Felix has got fitness is very good on these horses. It looks like his brown horse, his bay horse in the lead's actually encouraging the whole team forward. I think it'll be one of the fastest ones up the bridge and really taking the team, giving them encouragement. Oh. Felix just had a little hesitation. Look at the bay horse drag the team over that bridge, but it didn't cost him time, just a few seconds of hesitation.
Stefan Clay for Switzerland now at the Sunflowers.
It's a family affair in this obstacle. Stefan with his 2 sisters on the back, navigating and backstepping. Stefan's father drove before he did, and this is Stefan's final year. He's retiring after this season.
The face of the sport could change quite significantly now, because he's not the only one, of course, to be retiring, but Michael Freund stepping down from international competition.
And Christoph Salmond also talking about retiring. He's quite keen to put time in with his daughter, who's riding and driving every other weekend. He's making a very good job of this hazard. Quite quick.
Very quiet, very smooth, almost makes it look easy. Michael Freund now at the Mikado. Much more vocal performance from him there. Thomas Eriksson for Sweden down at the Seaside Resort.
Thomas is one of the fastest four-in-hand drivers in the sport. Often in one of the top 3 marathon drivers, if not winning the course. This is his specialty phase. Has his partner Maria navigating for him, and his brother backstepping. His brother steps in at all the big internationals and the World Championships.
Getting plenty of instructions there from his wife.
And taking the tighter route as Koos de Ronde did into the Gate D. Horse is in a full gallop.
And plenty of momentum there to get up the bridge.
Yeah.
Theo Timmerman for the Netherlands now at the second obstacle, the Sunflowers.
The Dutch this weekend hosting a very strong marathon team. IJsbrand, Theo Enkos, all very competitive marathon drivers.
And he's fast through here.
Big horses covering a lot of ground, not stalling on the corners. No confusion.
Josef Zeitler at obstacle 4. That's part of the cross-country course there.
Seppi's done a circle to give himself a good run off through the start line. There it is there. This breed of horses are Russian Orlov. It's one of his personal choices. Fast horses, especially on this phase. Some of the drivers choose to wear body protectors and hard hats. It's not a requirement, it's at the driver's own discretion.
Just how dangerous a sport is it?
I'm really quite safe compared to a lot of other equestrian disciplines. Very few times you might get 2 or 3 rollovers each marathon.
The Frenchman Benjamin Ayot now at the Mikado fence number 5. This one of the trickiest fences on the course. Is that largely to do with that mound that's in the middle of it all?
That's right, I mean that just throws a bit of confusion, but you see how wide he went out there, just losing a little bit of time. His speed's good, but needs to be a little more accurate.
The back stepper leaning way out there. Just how important is their role for a successful drive?
The backstep visibility is often blocked by the navigator. You can see there the navigator was just a few seconds ahead of the backstep. The backstepper went on one leg there. It's a little bit precarious where he is now. But as you saw, he just slewed on the post there, and the backstepper navigator kept their position. Often, if the post moves a little bit in the hole, the vehicle rides up and then will turn over in a split second.
Well, a look at the current standings, and IJsbrand Chardon, no great surprise there. He's out in front ahead of Zoltan Lazar and Christophe Sandman. Felix Brasseur now at the Dry Lendereck, the 6th obstacle on the course.
You can see here Felix's horses are very supple. They're all looking where they're going, they're all bending very neatly. Doing their different jobs. Some leading, some following.
How much training has to be done on the ground to get these horses working like this?
It's a number of years really, and most drivers will probably compete the horses in 8 competitions through a season. But there again, that was the experience of the Dark Bay. Felix didn't quite have enough turn in his hand, and the Dark Bay knew what he was trying to achieve and helped him. That's where the extra years of experience at this level helps at the World Championships. A good acceleration out.
Stefan Clay at the Aachen Archers now. Such a quiet driver. It almost looks like he's out for a little jaunt in the park, whereas of course with some of the other drivers you get all the shouting and hollering, and this just looks a completely different picture.
Yeah, it's just confidence and power, and when the horses are responding how you'd like them to or expect them to, it just puts the driver at ease. See there, a very tight 360, but the horses kept momentum all the way around the corner. Beautiful slalom there without touching a post.
Attila Bardos now for Hungary at Obstacle 3, the seaside resort. He was lying in 16th place at the end of the dressage.
And Attila has two interesting styles. He son of famous Georgi Bardos, the famous Hungarian drivers, but if you watch his hands, he actually takes the loops underneath, with the underneath part of his hand. A lot of drivers take the loops on the top under the thumbs, and Attila takes them from below his hand, as you saw there again. So for us to watch that, it's almost like he's steering his team in reverse, but very, very competent, very successful.
And a different angle here of the bridge out.
Just Lipizzaner horses there, small team, a little bit underpowered there, but make up for it in other parts of the course.
Sweden's Thomas Eriksson at the crossroads, who's 7th after the dressage, so well in contention for being up at the top of the table at the end of today.
See there on the right hand side a fluorescent bar on the red gate C. That's actually a knockdown, and if the judges have put that there to make sure the drivers give it clearance. Another one on the left there, and that's to make sure that the welfare of the horses is looked after, the drivers aren't too aggressive on the posts. Just like there, if there had been a knockdown, that would have incurred some penalties, but Thomas knows where the knockdowns are and where to be careful. Just a little bit of indecision there, but close to the knockdown, but it's still upstanding.
Felix Brasseur nearing the end of the course now. In fact, the final obstacle, Obstacle 8, the Eiffel Village.
2 180-degree corners. Again, still got his acceleration when he needs it. Chester went under the houses, and Felix has taken a more flowing outside route.
This horse is still very relaxed and working very happily together.
Again, the bay horse has just got that acceleration. Just half ahead of his partner. There he goes again, dragging the whole team to the finish line as quick as he can.
And he was quick through there. Thomas Eriksson for Sweden now at the finish. Obviously no problems with his time. And now the horses will be checked by the vet, just looking at the heart rate there. So the results for the marathon: Ijsbrand Chardon out in front of Felix Brasseur and Stefan Clay. It leaves the overall scores very tight, so it's all to play for in the final phase. So to the final day and the show jumping equivalent. Accuracy really is key here. The cones are spaced just 30 centimetres wider than the carriages themselves. Gert Schrijvers is first in for Belgium, and he'll be looking to help secure a team medal. But what colour will it be? They're in the bronze medal position after the marathon. Will they be staying there? Such accuracy required here after yesterday's more energetic performance. How difficult is it to get the horse's mind switched to the job?
Yeah, again, it's the way the sport's devised. coming from the 3-day eventing, where the final day is asked to test the horse's concentration, suppleness and obedience after the rigours and excitement of the cross country. This is one of the benefits of Gert's team. They are very obedient.
Now the Belgium team will be looking to discard the score of Gert de Brouwer, who got 15.69.
The rules state that the drivers must be using traditional carriages and the same equipment as used on Dressage Day.
How tight is the time going to be on this course?
The course is measured by the course designer and judges. The distance is calculated at meters per minute. At this sort of level, it's very critical. Normally there's one little error or wide circle. You can see Gert's driven a very accurate tight line there, didn't waste any space after that cone. If you light bulbed out too far, that would cost you valuable seconds. A well-driven precision round will be only 3 or 4 seconds in time. That's quite a big step over there, and another one obviously right into the corner of the crowd.
This looking good for Belgium so far.
Gert's just sitting up very, very still. Doesn't look like he's panicking or making any abrupt communications to the horses. Looking very relaxed, in fact.
He's nearing the end of the course now. And he's clear. Just 0.6 of a time fault there for Gert Schrijvers. The Belgian team will be very, very happy with that one.
0.6 penalties for exceeding the time, 0,6 Strafpunkte für Zeitüberschreitung. Gesamt aber die Führung für Gert Schrijvers in the lead with a total of 170.18 mit 170.
Michael Freund now for Germany, his last, of course, international competition. Crowd would dearly love to see him do well here. Put himself in contention.
This is one of Michael's favourite phases. He's very confident in here. Quite enjoys cone driving, and the higher he can climb up the table, the more pressure he can put on the next competitor to drive a clear round.
Germany, of course, first in the team standings at the moment, so he'll be looking to get a team gold out of this performance.
Michael's negotiating an A, B, C, D manoeuvre, that's called a chicane. Full width of the carriage has to be stepped to the left or to the right, enabling a clear track through the cone. Now he's pushing for the time and then slowing down just as he comes to each cone, trying not to waste any space.
Very confident drive from him, but then you would expect it to be.
Michael's in 9th position, but it's less than a cone down to 6th position, so wanting to climb as high as he can.
Is this an obstacle course befitting the World Championships, do you think?
Well, it looks like it's testing them. A lot of horses, when you actually turn them left and right constantly, can rattle their rhythm and teamwork. Michael's horses are still listening nicely. There haven't been many clear rounds so far out of the 50 competitors.
Front of a home crowd, he'd love to perform well, and they'd be equally happy to see him do it. I'm sure there'll be quite a roar at the end of this round.
Still encouraging his horses forward, taking no chance on the time allowed.
And he's done it. Big celebrations there, and so they should be, because that round has secured Germany the gold medal. He's one very happy man. And of course that means that not only have they got team gold, but it leaves Christoph Sandman free to do whatever he can to try to go for individual gold, because his score won't matter, it won't affect the team result. Chester Webber now for the United States. First after the dressage, didn't have a good time across country. Can he make up for it now? And that's disaster for him. He's gone the wrong way. He's taken the wrong course, and that means elimination.
Chester will be disappointed.
Pity.
Zoltan Lazar for Hungary now, and looking a picture of concentration there.
Consulting, driving the smaller team of horses. This is one phase where it just helps him a little bit.
Nice to see the stands oh, and that is a disaster for him. One horse kicked off the left-hand side, and the carriage hit the right-hand side of those cones. So that's 3 penalty points for Zoltan Lazar. An unusual mistake there.
Just a little bit, drove too much of a racing line to the cones, and the carriage didn't have a chance to square up to the set of boards.
The rest of his round still so important for the Hungarian team result.
Again, a chicane, A, B, C, D. Full width of the team to take it over. A near miss there, but clear is clear.
The leader almost skipped over that cone there.
Again, the more experience the horses get, the more they try and help you. They realise that you're trying to go between the cones, and
that's another one gone.
wow, very uncharacteristic mistakes will result in 2 down.
Stands here at Aachen absolutely packed with people enjoying this final day of the 4-in-hand carriage driving. Pushing on a little there because he's fairly tight on time.
Yeah, it's almost like the course designers tempted the drivers to sort of gallop down to 17 and 18, and then again a gallop towards 19, 20. And just if you've got too bold or too confident, then it'd be easy to cut the corner to the finish. So you have them really holding in the corner, making sure the horses drive clear.
And he's through the last, but he'll have time penalties. So that gives Zoltan Lazar a total of 9.49 penalties. Great disappointment for him.
It's his brother Vilmos there.
So Christoph Sandman, he's got it all to do. And he's free to do it. He doesn't have to worry about the German team results, so he can go all out for individual glory. He's of course lying 4th at the moment, so just out of the medals. But if he can go clear, that'll put the pressure on those above him.
That's right, there's less than a point between Thomas Eriksson in 3rd place and Christoph in 4th. Likewise with the leader Eisbrand and Felix, only a point. Family affair on this carriage also. That's Christoph's wife in the groom's seat, and his son-in-law Arno in the other groom's seat.
Real precision driving through there.
That movement's to show that the leaders and wheelers can work on 2 different tracks at the same time. But the course designer sent 2 chicanes up. Again, leaders turning left as the wheelers turn right, and then vice versa. Again, a big step over there. Christoph taking no chances, making sure the carriage can square up to cone 13.
He'll be aware that the time's called a few out, so he's driving them on there. He's looking fairly comfortable at the moment, though, in terms of time. Just coming round to the last, if he can come through here, that puts the pressure on the others. And he's clear. Great reception from the home crowd there. Christoph Salman for Germany. Clear and inside the time.
Wow.
The crowd getting to their feet for him. A great performance. And it's just what he needed. Thomas Eriksson for Sweden now. He's in the bronze medal position, but he's only just ahead. So the pressure's on. He'll know what he has to do. Bit of Swedish music there in the background to spur him on.
This is often a difficult round phase for Thomas. His horses are really built for speed and have a lot of blood in their breeding, making them very fast on the cross country. Often difficult to keep them quiet and calm in today's phase.
All these horses looking very relaxed and happy after the rigours of yesterday's marathon.
It's very smooth so far, but not quite as fast as Michael Freund and Christoph Salman were in the first half of the course.
He's keeping a very steady rhythm, but the time is tight in here. You've got to be clear, but he needs to be inside the time too if he's to keep his bronze medal position. Just looking very, very steady at the moment. Big striding horses though, so will he make it?
Oh, Thomas taking a racing line. Even he had to look himself to make sure it was still clear.
Still not picking up the pace.
I think he has his opportunity now to get down to striding out nicely. Now he has to gauge how far to go past the cone to turn back to 17.
The time's ticking on. He's got just the last one to go. Now he puts on the speed, but that's going to give him a time fault. 0.99 of a time fault, and that is going to cost him the bronze medal. Absolutely heartbreaking.
2-3 Punkte. 0.99 penalties for time. 154
So
points.
that is going to give Christoph Sandmann at least the bronze, depending on how well the next two do. Felix Brasseur for Belgium, currently in the silver medal position. He can go clear, that'll put the pressure. IJsbrand Chardon.
Felix is a very confident driver in the current phase, often storming into the arena for his salute. Very relaxed, covering a lot of ground. Reins are just dancing there, that means the horses are listening and still very supple.
He'll know, of course, what's just happened, so he won't want to make the same mistake, and see from those earlier obstacles that he was picking up the pace, and looks like he'll be safely inside the time as long as he can keep from touching any of those cones.
There's a display clock on the course that the drivers are aware of. They'll have already worked out where they need to be halfway through the course to make sure that they're ahead of time or behind time. That gives them a prompt. Again, a very neat little turn there with no disobedience from the horses.
Of course, Felix's round will help secure the Belgian team medal as well. They were in third place after the marathon. If he can go clear, that'll move them up to the silver medal position. And you have to say, he just doesn't look like going wrong at the moment. Such tiny margins involved here. Just the last to go. He's clear and inside the time.
Und wenigstens die Silbermedaille in der kombinierten Einzelwertung um den Preis der Familie Michael Kalbus. Die geht nach Belgien an Felix.
So the Dutchman IJsbrand Chardon has it all to do. He'll need a clear and inside the time. Because 2 years ago at the last World Championships at Kecskemét in Hungary, he was leading then going into the final phase. But some inaccuracies there cost him dear, dropping him down to third. He won't want to repeat that here in Aachen. Everyone here knows what he's got to do. Deep breath from IJsbrand there.
And also his daughter on the back. It's also very deceiving. These are big striding horses covering a lot of ground. Won't give you the appearance of rushing.
Well, apart from the dramatic sound of the final countdown, you really can't hear anything from the crowd at all. You could hear a pin drop in this Aachen stadium. Of course, he's going for individual gold and to secure the Netherlands their team medal. Great concentration there from him.
Eisbrand there looking at the clock, just really wanted to know, and then obviously he was checking his time because he took a second glance at it to make sure he read it correctly.
It's about halfway through now.
Driving quite confidently. Now we're coming up to the big step over.
And that's one gone. Disaster for Eisbrand Chardon. That, if my maths is correct, will give Belgium the silver, but more importantly, it'll give Felix Brasseur the gold individual.
Wow, what a shame the leader's hind leg just came across and kicked that ball. He was obviously a fraction early in asking his horses to turn over, knowing that he had a big step over to drive.
Crowd knew what that meant. The sighs from them led to an appeal for quiet, because of course he won't want to go wrong again. There's still a lot to play for here. He's lost his chance of individual gold. He's still in line for the silver medal at the moment. The Netherlands are safe in terms of their bronze medal.
Der große Applaus für Eisbrand Chardon aus den Niederlanden. 3 Punkte.
No more mistakes there, but that'll be a very disappointing and costly round for Eisbrand Chardon.
So it's the silver medal for Eisbrand Chardon, Silbermedaille. Der zweite Platz im Preis der Familie.
So the final result there, Felix-Marie Brasseur gets gold for Belgium, Eisbrand Chardon the silver, and Christoph Sandman gets bronze for Germany. Thomas Eriksson's .99 of a time fault cost him dear. He came in fourth. Felix-Marie Brasseur, they're raising his hat to the crowd. And what a fantastic drive he's had to get to this position. The top of the podium. So individual gold for Felix-Marie Brasseur from Belgium.
Thank you, but sure, it's a good day. It was really difficult because after the way to start the dressage, it was an unusual way. Sure, I was not happy, but the Dutch public gave me the power to go forward. And it's why perhaps I wrote a little bit faster. Normally I never ask too much to my horses in the marathon. Here I wanted to come back, and sure, here with a clear one. It was nice. If you remember, Eisbrand Chardon was second time world champion after 10 years. Eriksson exactly the same after 10 years. And for me it's also the same after 10 years. We have to wait next 10 years.
The German team there getting their gold medals for a fantastic performance. Michael Freund, of course, would have hoped for individual gold too. bowing out of international carriage driving. Well, it's been a stunning display. Our thanks to Boyd Excel for giving us a driver's insight. Make sure you join us for the 2010 All-Tech FEI World Equestrian Games in Kentucky.